Hello, fellow zombies. I know you can't hear me, but I'm trying to get something taped, and I gotta get my glasses washed. So I'm going to be turning on MSNBC 11th hour, and it's 9:54 on the clock right now, p.m. West Coast time, the 18th of September, 2025. For Thursday, I'm trying to get the first portion of a repeat of PSAKI. So I'm turning on the commercials. I'm going to be leaving the video area for a bit, but I need to get my glasses clean. My dog got my glasses.
Bill is taking all of the funding that was previously provided to deal with people in incredibly difficult circumstances and transferring it into a tax plan that is so unbalanced it's almost embarrassing, because it provides the tax relief to those at the top end of the spectrum and leaves those at the bottom end of the spectrum to fend for themselves. So I think there's going to be pain from a number of different places, Simone, that's going to at least shed some light on what it is that's been ongoing in Washington, D.C. with the president and his cabinet, and frankly, Congress. They're no place to be found. At the end of the day, they're elected to exercise judgment that reflects sound judgment and good sense and honest purpose, and to do the right thing for the right reasons. And for the life of me, I'm still absolutely mystified at how it is that they cannot find the courage to do what they know is right. So as long as they're accomplices to this effort, we're going to be ending up in these circumstances.
Governor, I am looking for the people that are willing to stand up, but I'm hopeful that we'll find some soon. Thank you so much for your time. Good to see you. We'll be right back, folks.
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking about our honeymoon. What about Africa? Safari. Swim with elephants. Hot air balloon. Lions growling and giraffes that come in through your window. Wait, can we afford a safari?
Great question. Like everything, takes a little planning.
Or put some money towards a down payment?
With enough room for a baby.
Babies.
Baby.
Let's take a look at those scenarios.
JP Morgan Wealth Management has advisors in Chase branches and tools like Wealth Plan to help keep you on track. When you're planning for it all, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
This September, you can join the battle to save lives during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
With St. Jude having our backs, my baby's back, it truly means everything, because I didn't even think my baby had a chance. I thought I was just gonna have to deal with the pain of losing my baby.
Please call, go online, or scan the QR code right now and give $19 a month to make a difference. Because 1 in 5 children diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. will not survive.
For the love of the kids, we just hope and dream every day that it's going to be gone.
Ella llegó en lo último. St. Jude estuvieron ahí para ayudarnos.
Families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food, so they can focus on helping their child live.
What does the house say?
Every single person that's donating has been a great gift, because I've got so much time to experience my family.
Join with your credit or debit card for only $19 a month, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt. You can proudly wear to show your support.
When your child gets cancer, that's a scary thing to hear as a father. But here at St. Jude, there was hope.
Help give them tomorrow. Let's cure childhood cancer together. Please donate now.
During my recovery, the only thing I could think about was getting back to playing. Boost gave me the fuel to get back on the stage. Music is life. A real comeback deserves a real boost.
Work. Play. Blink. Relief. Work. Play. Blink. Relief.
The only 3-in-1 extended relief formula for dry eyes.
Blink.
This is great, right?
I love it.
Get that Wi-Fi going.
Hey, Ty.
You got it?
Go.
All right.
You can go fast.
Let's go down.
go the enemy. What are you saying? I'm a rat! They're threatening everybody in my life. If you think you're gonna take me out, it's gonna be really difficult.
That does it for us. From all of our colleagues across MSNBC, thank you so much for staying up late. Have a good night.
Here's something I've been thinking about today. If Jimmy Kimmel had a show tonight, if his show had not been indefinitely pulled off the air by ABC, he would have had plenty of material to work with. I mean, he might have played this valiant effort by President Trump, that's being generous, to pronounce the name of a country.
To think that we settled Azerbaijan and Albania as an example, it was going on for years.
Close, sort of. It is pronounced Azerbaijan, sir, and I think you meant Armenia, not Albania, but listen, you're only the leader of the free world. Good try. If Kimmel had a show tonight, he might also have had some fun with his back and forth between Trump and a reporter over the UK's ambassador to the US having just been fired over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
The elephant in the room, Lord Mandelson, he is no longer the ambassador. Do you have some sympathy with him that he lost his job over historic links to Jeffrey Epstein? Thank you very much, sir.
I don't know him, actually. I had heard that, and I think maybe the Prime Minister would be better speaking of that.
You know, a question about my former BFF, the sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein. What could I possibly add there? Over to you, Prime Minister, who has nothing to do with this, really. Jimmy Kimmel might have had a lot of fun with that one, too. Or with this incredible display of mathematical wizardry, I guess you could call it.
We're going to be reducing drug costs over the next year and a half by not 50 or 60%, by 1,000%. Because if you think a $10 pill going, so it'll be raised up from 10 to 20 because it's the world versus us. So the world is a bigger place. So it'll go from 10 to 20. It won't go from 10 to 50 or 60 for them, which is bearable. And it'll go from 10 to 20 for us.
I have no idea what just happened there. I guess math is hard. Who knows? Look, Trump did a lot of stuff you could mock him for just today, just in the last less than 24 hours. And that is a huge part of what Jimmy Kimmel did on his show, and a huge part of why Trump went after him. And when the story broke yesterday, the assumption was that ABC suspended Kimmel because of his comments about MAGA's reaction to Charlie Kirk's killer. But it sure seems like it might be just a bit more complicated than that. I mean, yesterday Rolling Stone reported that according to two sources familiar with the matter, multiple executives within ABC felt that Kimmel had not actually said anything over the line, but that the threat of Trump administration retaliation loomed. Well, there you have it. So maybe this one wasn't entirely about, or really about, one Kimmel monologue. Maybe this was about Trump not liking being made fun of. Trump not being able to stand being criticized, and him using the power of the presidency and his hand-picked FCC chairman, by the way, following his lead and cracking down on shows he doesn't like. It's not even just me saying that. That is not just my interpretation of the news of the past 24 hours. I mean, today on Air Force One, Trump basically said the quiet part out loud.
Like host is on network television, there is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won it easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, I won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away.
I mean, Trump is basically saying there, sure is a nice network TV station you have there. Would be a shame if something bad were to happen to it. Would be a shame if that guy over at the FCC had to take your license away because you said negative things about me. That would be a shame. And that wasn't just Trump misspeaking. I mean, minutes later he said basically the same thing again, but almost clearer.
When you go back and take a look
nonsense. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
Actually, the right to criticize the president is pretty key to what being an American means. You are, in fact, allowed to do that, actually. And believe me, every president back to the beginning of late-night television can tell you that if you do something stupid or you do something embarrassing or absurd, you are going to be made fun of. That's what late-night hosts do. That's what comedians do. But this administration obviously sees things very differently. Now, yesterday, hours before Kimmel got suspended, Trump's FCC chair, Brendan Carr, went on a right-wing podcast and said, quote, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct and take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead." Carr went on to specifically call for affiliate stations that carry ABC's programming to push for Kimmel's ouster. And sure enough, they did. Nexstar and Sinclair Media, two companies you may have never heard of, maybe you have heard of them, pushed for Kimmel to be taken off the air, claiming they were offended by his comments. Those companies pushing ABC are reportedly why ABC suspended Kimmel. Now, while you may have never heard of Nexstar or Sinclair Media, you have likely seen their content, almost definitely. They are the two biggest affiliate groups in the United States, meaning they own hundreds of local TV stations around the country. The stations typically have other brand names. I mean, you might know them as your local CBS station or ABC station. But most of the time, those stations are not actually independent. They are owned by a conglomerate like Nexstar or Sinclair. Now, in the case of Nexstar, it is pretty easy to see what Trump's FCC chair's threat, his "we can do this the easy way or the hard way" comments, could be about. Because a month ago, Nexstar announced that it had struck a deal to buy another affiliate TV station network called Tanga for $6.2 billion. If the deal closes, Nexstar would oversee 265 local TV stations in 44 states, making it the biggest owner of TV stations by far in the country. I mean, the company would literally be in control of local news stations reaching 80% of households in the country. But not only does that $6 billion deal require FCC approval, not only does Trump's FCC chief, Brendan Carr, "we can do this the easy way or the hard way," Brendan Carr, have to sign off on that deal or it can't happen, but the FCC would literally have to rewrite its own rules to let one network own that many stations for good reason. So basically, they have a $6 billion reason to stay in the good graces of Trump and his handpicked guy at the FCC. That's a pretty big reason. Again, Nexstar claims that they called for Jimmy Kimmel's ouster simply because they were outraged by his comments. But you can make a judgment on whether that's the full story for yourself. I clearly have a view on that. Now, the other group that called for Kimmel's ouster, Sinclair Media, is a great example of why it is not a great idea for any one media conglomerate to own that many of our nation's local TV news stations. I mean, do you remember when Sinclair got caught making all of their anchors read the same script back in 2018?
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
We are concerned about trouble and trying to make responsible one-sided news stories in our country. The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
It creeps me out every time I see it. It feels like it's from some sort of AI horror right-wing movie. The issue is, of course, not just that Sinclair has trusted local anchors all across the country, everybody trusts in their communities, saying the same things. It's that their cookie-cutter scripts are notably conservative. A 2018 study by American Political Science Review showed that when the company buys a local station, its coverage of national politics increases significantly, as does its shift to the right. It's not just local TV news where this kind of thing is happening. I mean, the executive chair of Sinclair Broadcasting, a billionaire named David Smith, did the same thing with the newspaper, the Baltimore Sun. And last year, the billionaire owners of both the Washington Post and the LA Times canceled their paper's presidential endorsements, we'll remember that, after learning that their editorial boards were planning to endorse Kamala Harris. And now Trump is reportedly helping close a deal that would put conservative billionaire Larry Ellison's company Oracle in control of the social media app TikTok in the United States. That would mean Trump allies would control both TikTok and Twitter, two of the most influential social media sites where a lot of people get their information in the country. By the way, Larry Ellison's son, David Ellison, just bought Paramount, putting him in control of CBS News, which just months ago canceled Stephen Colbert's late night show and cleaned house at 60 Minutes. So there's that. And now David Ellison is now looking to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which would mean he would add CNN to the growing list of news outlets under his control. So, I mean, obviously no disrespect to Jimmy Kimmel when I say this. He's great. But this story is way bigger than Jimmy Kimmel. Trump is using his power as president to help the people who are willing to do what he wants, control more and more of America's media and the information you all receive, everybody receives in this country. And at the same time, Trump is using his power to punish the media outlets that don't do what he wants. I mean, this week we saw the first NPR station announce that Trump's budget cuts will mean they will have to fully shut down. It's WPSU in Pennsylvania. It has broadcast out of Penn State since 1953. But now, they have to close their doors. And as other NPR and PBS stations shutter because of Trump, they leave news deserts in the wake, places where there are no local news outlets, deserts that large conglomerate pro-Trump media outlets could easily fill, and may be eager to fill. Over at Voice of America, our nation's international public news arm, Trump has appointed this woman, MAGA Republican Carrie Lake, to run the agency. Here you can see Lake in an ad for her 2022 run for governor of Arizona, where she is literally, if you can tell, you can see it on the screen, taking a sledgehammer to the media. She went on to lose the election, of course, and then tried to overturn it by falsely claiming it was riddled with fraud. She runs our international public news agency now, that woman. Earlier this summer, Trump sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion for reporting on his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. This week, he sued the New York Times for $15 billion, saying the paper was purposefully trying to damage his reputation. Yesterday, the CEO of the New York Times, Meredith Kopit Levine, responded, and here's what she said. She said that Trump was deploying an anti-press playbook, saying, quote, if you look at countries like Turkey and Hungary and India, those countries have elections, but they also really work to quash opposition to the regime. We have seen Trump's administration kick legitimate news outlets out of the Pentagon and completely reshape the White House press corps. And those decisions, picking who is and isn't in the room to ask Trump and his administration questions, those decisions may not be, they're not as headline-grabbing as Jimmy Kimmel being sidelined. But they really matter. Because instead, the White House press briefing room includes things like this.
Do you think this latest incident with President of Colombia is indicative of the global, powerful respect they have for President Trump?
Thank you for taking my question. I wanted to first and foremost thank the administration for the election integrity executive order.
Thank you for making a sacrifice and dealing with some of the most disingenuous people on planet Earth at times.
It really is a testament not only to your open-mindedness, but also to innovation.
So I do admire these moves by the current president, I'll be honest.
Given the heroic actions of a member of this administration just a few blocks from this building, will the president consider giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Big Boss?
Will you guys also consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before.
That's some weird state-run media stuff going on there. Now, I'll tell you for sure, I never got questions like that when I was at the podium, and neither did Mike McCurry or Dana Perino or even Sean Spicer. But that is what Trump wants the press briefing to be. That is the goal. I mean, for example, on Monday, the New York Times published a jaw-dropping piece about how Trump and his family and the family of his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, got the UAE to invest $2 billion in their crypto coin. And then turned around and used Trump's power as president to give the UAE access to hundreds of thousands of the world's most advanced and scarce computer chips. So on Tuesday, an Australian reporter at the White House asked this perfectly legitimate question about that story.
It's appropriate, President Trump, that a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not
My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity? Where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Four Corners program.
The Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone.
So that was Tuesday. And today, the network that journalist was from, the Australian Broadcast Corporation, was barred from Trump's UK press conference. The network says that British officials withdrew their accreditation because of, quote, logistical reasons. This is sort of a death by a thousand cuts situation, right? It's not that Trump is declaring he now controls all of the country's media. It's that slowly but surely, through incentives and punishments, he is using the power of the presidency to bend one outlet after another to his will. And as terrifying as that is, and it is important to remember that the president is not the only person with power in our country. We have a stacked show for you tonight with guests to help us understand how pushback can work here. What should you be doing? What should your neighbors be doing? We're going to talk to former Russian political activist and chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov about what we can learn from other countries where this has happened before. We're going to talk to Stacey Abrams about what ordinary citizens can do. And we're going to talk to Representatives Robert Garcia and Maxwell Frost about what Congress can do. They are standing by and join me live in just 90 seconds.
My generalized myasthenia gravis was unpredictable and limited what I could do. But Ultomiris is continuous symptom control with improvement in activities of daily living. It is reduced muscle weakness, and Ultomiris is the only long-acting GMG treatment with the freedom of just 6 to 7 infusions per year for a predictable routine I can count on.
Ultomiris may lower your ability to fight infections, increasing your chance of serious meningococcal and other infections, which may become life-threatening or fatal. Complete or update meningococcal vaccines at least 2 weeks before you start. If treatment is urgent, you should receive antibiotics with your vaccines. Don't start if you have a meningococcal infection. Infusion reactions may include back, belly, limb, or chest pain, muscle spasms, blood pressure changes, tiredness, shaking chills, bad taste, breathing problems, or face, tongue, or throat swelling. Ultomiris is continuous symptom control. Talk to your neurologist today.
And Doug.
Are you here for Tracy?
We're here for everyone. Limo and I help people save hundreds by customizing car insurance with Liberty Mutual.
We ordered a limo, not a limo.
Oh yeah, we do that too. At your service. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I see my role as convening the best and smartest and most blunt voices. It is the most important moment to convene and connect. As much as truth and journalism, that is the show's pursuit.
We have to be able to say we did everything we could. This is about justice.
It's okay if you don't want to fight, because we are going to fight for you.
Law and Order Thursday, new September 25th on NBC and Peacock.
So today, two of the top Democrats on the House Oversight Committee initiated an investigation into the series of decisions that led to the ABC television network yanking Jimmy Kimmel's late-night talk show off the air yesterday, seemingly at the behest of Donald Trump. Congressman Robert Garcia is the ranking member of that committee, and Congressman Maxwell Frost is a member of that committee who's playing a leading role in this process, and both join me now. This was very rapid action, so let me just start there. You announced, and let me start with you, Congressman. You announced that as ranking member, you're launching an investigation. I just mentioned this into ABC, Sinclair, and the FCC for potentially violating the First Amendment. Obviously, people watching have been following this closely. We've been trying to keep people up to date. But what is that? What information are you looking for, and are you seeking most in that investigation?
Absolutely. Well, look, let's be clear. Obviously, what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific. We can all denounce that. At the same time, this country is built the foundations of freedom of speech, the First Amendment, and it is completely outrageous that Donald Trump is going to interfere with the FCC to essentially yank a comedian on a late-night talk show during a monologue giving an opinion and cancel that show. Now, we've seen it with Stephen Colbert. He's now trying to go after other late-night shows. Essentially, anyone that Donald Trump disagrees with, he wants to calm down that dissent. He wants to silence them. And what we're saying is that this is outrageous. And so it's our role in oversight to investigate ABC, to investigate what's going on at Sinclair, to understand why the FCC is making the decisions and who made the call. And this is a point now where Donald Trump not only is attacking our institutions, he's attacking the media. And this is a dangerous moment for the country. So we're committed to push back, to fight back hard, and this investigation is going to be very important.
I just referenced this reporting from Rolling Stone yesterday where it said that a number of executives or some executives didn't feel that he had crossed the line to the point of sidelining him. And at the same time, and I just tried to outline this, and you can tell me what I missed, there are several business reasons. Nexstar is attempting to buy a huge number of local affiliates. There's reasons why that they would want to be in good graces of the FCC and Donald Trump. How much is that a part of what you're looking into? What questions do you have about that and that being a factor?
It's a huge factor, and it's going to be a big part of this investigation. I mean, much like what's going on with the Epstein investigation, right? We want to follow the money. And when you follow the money, it's always painting a very similar picture. You brought up Nexstar. They are right now trying to buy, in the middle of an acquisition, their biggest competitor, $6 billion deal. Mm-hmm. Who has to approve that deal? The FCC.
And they change the rules even.
Yep. Same thing with Sinclair, and same thing with Disney, except Disney is looking to purchase Fubo, which is going to go to the Department of Justice, right? And that's going to be, that's part of this whole apparatus as well. So when we follow the money, we think we're going to get some answers there. I mean, it's very obvious that Sinclair, that Nexstar, they were the first dominoes to fall here, and that part of the reason they did this is because they're looking out for their bottom line, not for the First Amendment, not for the integrity of journalists, comedians, artists, the people they have on their channels, but for the bottom line of billionaires, which is directly connected to everything Donald Trump has done since he's gotten into office. Take away resources from the middle class, the working class, give it to billionaires and mega corporations. This is no different.
You've developed this sort of strange bedfellows situation, I guess I'll call it, around the push for the release of the Epstein files. You've worked with the chairman on that. You've also, it sounds like, made some progress today on getting him to commit to calling FCC Chairman Carr before the committee, which is a pretty big development, I think. What do you have? I mean, this is the party. This is the thing I think that is so hypocritical. One of the things. This is the party that was once the party of free speech. I mean, even Chairman Carr back in 2023 said, "quote Free speech is the counterweight, is the check on government control. That is why censorship is the authoritarian's dream." That was the guy who is now going after media companies. Do you think there is going to be potentially agreement among more Republicans on the committee to do more here that might surprise people?
Well, look, we hope so. I mean, at the end of the day, I think what Chairman Comer and Republicans on oversight are learning is that this is an all-new Democratic Party. This is an all-new oversight committee made up of people that are going to bring the fight every single day. Whether it's on the Epstein files, whether it's attacks on the media, whether it's attacks on our institutions. And on the Epstein files, for example, we have outmaneuvered those Republicans on that committee every single time. And we did the same today. We essentially are forcing and working with Comer and pushing to get Chairman Carr in front of our committee, and he's agreed to that. I mean, he agreed to that publicly today in our committee. And so with the help of an incredible group of committee members, Maxwell actually leads one of our subcommittees, and we're actually going to do this work, taking on and getting answers from ABC, from Sinclair, from Nexstar. People need to understand that this is a dangerous moment in our country. When the President of the United States can silence dissent, can take on media companies, essentially holds ransom, right? He's holding these companies hostage. He knows the business that they're trying to do in front of the government. This is the most corrupt president and administration in the history of the United States. And we have to say enough. We have to push back every single time, and that is a job of Congress, and it's certainly the job of the Oversight Committee.
You're going to be very dug into the weeds of this. You already are dug into the weeds of this. As we've all been trying to explain this story, and I tried to explain that it's much more than this. There is efforts to kind of change who's in the briefing room and who gets to ask questions. There are lawsuits against a range of media organizations. There's an efforts to have his allies own TikTok and Twitter already they do. What are people missing? What should people understand that you're looking to dig into as the leader of this subcommittee?
I think you just brought it up here, is that a lot of times when people are looking at what Donald Trump is doing, they're assuming that there's going to be one moment where everything happens. And rarely, especially in democracies, is that how authoritarians come to power. It's a slow trickle of taking away rights, a slow trickle of changing who's in the room, a slow trickle of using the institutions against companies, against individuals, against organizations, against the government itself, members of Congress. And that continues to build up until one day you wake up and you ask, where have our rights gone? Where has everything gone? Why does the media all sound the same? And this is the problem. And so, part of what we're asking people to do is, follow along and work with us and continue to do what activists, organizers, people are doing in the streets in their home districts. As Robert just brought this up, we were talking about some Republicans working with us on the committee. It didn't start that way, right? And a big reason, I'll give you two reasons. Number one, it's the leadership of Robert Garcia and what we're doing on the committee, pushing hard and putting them in difficult places. And then number two, when they go home, their own constituents are saying, do something on Epstein files. We don't care about if it's a Democratic or Republican thing. This is an American thing. We believe that people who do these crimes should be put away. We believe people should be held accountable. They got that message all August when they were home. And that's part of the reason why we're finding a little bit more cooperation here. And it's the same thing with this too. I've seen people all align, even conservatives, say, this is too far. And so
this is such an important point. I'm about to talk to Stacey Abrams about this. You were an activist before you were a member of Congress, and this is such an important thing for people to hear. I also said this the last time you were on. It does matter who the ranking members are on committees, and I think for people who think that doesn't matter, it does matter, and you're a great example of that. Thank you both so much for being here. I hope you'll come back and keep us updated on this, because we'll continue to cover this story closely. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Trump's next authoritarian flex is to threaten not just the media, but also people who organize those who are exercising their right to protest. It is all related. We're going to talk to seasoned activist Stacey Abrams about this. She joins me next about how to fight back.